Stephen King once wrote that nightmares exist outside of logic, and there's little fun to be had in explanations. They're antithetical to the poetry of fear. In a horror story, the victim keeps asking why, but there can be no explanation, and there shouldn't be one. The unanswered mystery is what stays with us the longest, and it's what we'll remember in the end. My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer.
At this point, my gaming preferences may be known by you. If you didn't know, my favorite genre probably is Metroidvania. There's the obvious games that the term came from. Amongst them, there are Bloodstained, Dead Cells, Hollow Knight, Blasphemous, Supraland, and many, many others within this genre. But one particular one brought me to Alan Wake, Control. Take control. This title introduced me to Alan Wake with its AWE DLC, which introduced Wake to me. Full disclosure, this is going to be my very first time ever playing this. So, with the sequel in sight, very in sight, that I'm dating this video, let's get into my very first playthrough of Alan Wake. So grab a source of light, a shit ton of coffee, and let's see if I can answer just how good is Alan Wake.
Where once were contenders, now are befrienders. Let's celebrate lasses, celebrate lasses, celebrate lasses, celebrate lasses. Braid, 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 braid.
What madness is this?
Does the name Remedy ring any bells? After I played Control, I did find out that they made Quantum Break, which is kind of a meh game, and two of my favorite games, Max Payne's 1 and 2. It's funny how the world works, isn't it? While I was researching for this particular video, I found out a few things that were pretty interesting. First was that this game released almost 8 years after Max Payne 2. The second was that Remedy was trying to make this an open world Max Payne type game. And third was that despite being touted as action adventure in most outlets, it uses one of my favorite horror genres, the cosmic horror genre. I immediately got Lovecraft vibes and Stephen King with a dash of John Carpenter, which ironically, a lot of their influence inspired this game, which is so cool. I was also reminded of this movie called In the Mouth of Madness, also from John Carpenter, with Sam Neill. I love this guy, especially with their respective premises being very similar. So when Remedy created this game, I feel like, smacking my younger self upside the head, this game was my thing back then too. For example, I loved Dead Space 1 and 2. I tolerated 3, preferably in the trash.
Know your fucking place, trash.
Castlevania, with all the creature designs being inspired by Lovecraft, BioShock, Bloodborne, The Darkness 1 and 2 was also pretty good. Oh, I can't forget Fear 1. The Prey remake was really good too. And also a good portion of the Resident Evil games. Seriously, why did it take me this long to play Alan Wake? Anyway, back to the game. Needless to say, I came into this game without any expectations. And the more I found out, and the more I played, the more I fell in love with this game. Now, enough foreplay. let's get into the gameplay. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, I really liked Resistance 1 through 3. God young me, why? Just why? Like I said earlier, the initial plan, from what I could find, was for Alan Wake to be Max Payne, but bigger and less linear. Usually those words mean a sandbox or open world or, GTA, which is a prime example of the sandbox open world concept, which at the time, from what I could find from developer dossiers and stuff, this was at battle with Remedy's more story-driven design philosophies, and it affected the tone they were trying to go for. For example, it'd be like Skyrim or Fallout wanted you to follow the main quest, and you get to the apex of the quest, and you go cow tipping or cheese wheel collecting. Suddenly, all tension and urgency within the main quest is taken away. That's not a critique of Skyrim and Fallout. These games were built with you, the player, as the driving force and the main character. With Alan Wake, Remedy removed the sandbox that they were trying to go for and went back to their more familiar pastures, namely Max Payne. Alan Wake would go on to use a third-person perspective, similar gunplay mechanics, but with no bullet time. Instead, Alan Wake uses light as a main mechanic and the biggest gimmick of the game. Similar to Luigi from Luigi's Mansion, Wake uses a flashlight, but instead of just stunning and sucking them,
did I stutter?
Wake dissipates darkness off of them. Once that's done, Wake can take them out with weapons he finds. These are a revolver, a shotgun, a pump-action shotgun variant, a hunting rifle, and even flashbang grenades for the more traditional weapons. Then there's the light-based weapons. There's the flashlight, obviously, which has stronger variants up to a lantern. They all serve the same function, but the stronger the light, the more battery usage. Thankfully, batteries are easy to come by in the game, and are sponsored by Energizer. It just keeps going and going, until licensing expires, and they're removed in the remaster. I'm not joking, this actually happened. Then there's the side armaments that Wake can get, such as flares to give some breathing room and drive off some more of the enemies, and flare guns. With the flare guns, you can clear out multiple enemies with Wake's red rockets. Remember, if you last longer than these flare guns, you're good.
Yes!
Wake will also come across spotlights, letting him flash enemies away too. But since most of the massive sandbox areas were still partially kept within the game, to help with traversal of the world, Wake can also come across vehicles to drive, with some admittedly clunky controls, which also have lights to help drive off enemies, at least when Dio isn't making various vehicles attack, including a lot of construction equipment. Oh right, there are also light checkpoints that serve as a respite and will have equipment to restock sometimes and heal Wake much faster than the usual life regeneration features. And trust me, when these pop up, it feels like a fucking godsend, especially when more enemies are around you and will wreck you. But Alan Wake, the game, has some jam. The vehicles can be very stiff and hard to control, like pretty bad. The game also has a lot of these hold them off or survive sections, which do get better as the game goes on, I should emphasize, except for one part. Before I get into it though, I'd like to explain how Wake does its story structure real quick. Alan Wake separates its story in an episodic fashion similar to a Telltale game for different parts of its season. In episode 2, which is only about 2 hours into the game, at least in my playthrough, Wake will have all his weapons taken away and given only a flashlight and flares. The game then has the AI NPC do the combat, and the AI is really dumb, making this part the most annoying part of the game for me. Having no weapons may have been intended for more tension, but I'll tell you this, if they were going for more tension, they completely failed royally. For the most part, Alan Wake is a very polished game. Only other complaint I have is probably the use of slow-mo, which occurs as a warning for incoming enemies, and for the cinematic dodges Wake can do. Bullet time? This ain't. Then there's the enemies, which aren't that bad honestly, dubbed the Taken.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you are looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money, but what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I have acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my wife go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you, I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. I will meme you.
These enemies vary from small fast slashers, bulky tank-like enemies, to generic lumberjacks, to chainsaw wielders on occasion, and enhanced speedsters, and then there's inanimate objects that will attack you, not just construction equipment, and murder of crows galore. There are also bosses, which are usually just enhanced Taken, or vehicles, or construction equipment. Nothing that really sticks out. There is also collectibles. These vary from a manuscript that's all over the place, that seems to be written by Wake himself, and seems to describe the various things happening in-game. Then there are the coffee thermoses, that the sheer amount made me think of Wilton's Coffee being a sponsor of this game.
You can't persuade me to drink Wilkins instant coffee. Pretty please? Oh, okay. Just a stab in the dark.
Then there are QR codes that appear, such as this particular one I'm gonna show, which got a massive laugh out of me. These don't do anything, but they're very fun little Easter eggs within the game. And then there's the DLC episodes that have alarm clocks and an in-universe game, respectively. Before you ask, do these collectibles do anything? You get an achievement and a Twin Peaks reference. And also, Kermit won't go to drastic measures to get you to drink coffee.
Do you drink Wilkins coffee?
No.
Oh, things just seem to happen to people who don't drink Wilkins.
Plus, the Taken will protect the coffee with their dark reddened lives. I think that's everything for the gameplay of Alan Wake. So, let's get into the story and the immersion of Alan Wake.
It's not a lake. It's an ocean.
Alan Wake has you take control of, Alan Wake, a bestseller author who writes thriller novels, who suffers from the worst thing a writer can possibly have. And he has come to the fictional town of Bright Falls, Washington with his wife, Alice. Due to frequent dreams he is having, Wake is hoping this small vacation will help his mental state and help his writer's block. After meeting some of the admittedly cooking locals, a very strange woman in a Wake garbs, and visiting a strange lodge, we begin a journey that delves into a man's psyche, coming face to face with the supernatural, and a cosmic horror-like force called the Dark Presence. Presented in its episodic format, Alan Wake follows Wake as he searches for his wife while also trying to stop the presence from crossing over to our world completely.
As I was saying, Al, I found all sorts of weird stuff from the local newspaper's archives. This place is crazy! Disappearances, mysterious deaths, urban legends come true, and, get this, most of this stuff takes place around Cauldron Lake.
Well, you ain't wrong, mister. The Indians thought the lake was a doorway to the underworld. I'm the God-fearing type myself. I don't hold with that sort of thing.
As Wade explores Bright Falls, Wade finds various oddities strewn around, from boats out of water in the middle of land, planes that are in far-removed forest areas, and people who are after Wade's literary skills. Barry, his buddy, doing an impression of Wade.
Hey, I think Alan Wake here has something to say. What's that, Al?
I'm Alan Wake. I'm always right about everything. And if I don't get my way, I'll sulk all day long. I'm always intense and moody. It makes me very attractive and mysterious. Right now, I'm just standing here because I need my best friend Barry to carry me. But that's okay. I can just take him for granted.
I think I see what you did there.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
You want me to do my imitation of Barry Wheeler?
You stupid.
No? Thought so.
And Wade's stories seemingly coming to life, which reveal many of the secrets of Bright Falls, with it all culminating with Wade's personal struggles to keep his sanity in the wake of this cosmic being's plans for him. Despite the machinations of both man and darkness, Wade is able to find the light in the ever-growing darkness, all culminating like in a children's story, in a flip of a switch.
Alan, 7 years old, would fight sleep to the bitter end. When he did sleep, he soon woke up, screaming, the nightmares fresh in his mind. One evening, his mother, sitting by his bed, offered him an old light switch. She called it the clicker, and flicking the switch would turn on a magical light that would drive the beast away. To imbue the talisman with all possible power, she added that it had been given to her by Alan's father. Alan never knew him, and anything of his took on mythical proportions in his mind. With the clicker firmly in his hand, Alan finally slept like a baby. Now, almost 30 years later, Alan thought of this as he stood on the rim of Cauldron Lake, the clicker in his hand. He took a deep breath and jumped.
My mind swirled. I'd given the clicker to Alice, yet it was here. Zane had written it into existence in a story I had written.
Stopping the dark presence and saving Wade's wife and the people of Bright Falls. Wade's journey does continue with him in the dark place, alone, and trying to write his way out for a departure he hopes will come soon.
A sequel to Departure. My name is Alan Wake, and I'm a writer.
Now, following its release, Alan Wake got great reviews from various outlets, a very dedicated following, even getting bonus DLC that explores Wade within the dark place, and is a very fun addition to the story. The game would also get American Nightmare, a spin-off not directly connected to the original game. Remedy would then go on to make different games, which eventually would lead to Control, which Control poked and nudged a possible connection between the two games, with Control's AWE DLC officially connecting the two. Alan Wake would then get a very good remaster around 2021, which is enhanced visuals and keeps the gameplay and story relatively untouched. In the middle of developing Alan Wake 2, originally, it got scrapped and was abandoned. And because of that, the Wade series seemed lost to the ether. So when a formal sequel was announced, it was a very big surprise.
This story is a monster. And monsters wear many faces.
If that wasn't enough though, a TV show was also announced to use the scrapped original sequel concepts of Alan Wake 2. The last I heard of it is that the series is being produced by AMC, which got the rights to it. So the series is in a much brighter place now. So what is my opinion after playing Alan Wake for the very first time. Well, I really wish I played this game sooner, but due to... Stop rubbing it in, Miguel. Anyway, I absolutely loved the game. It only has a couple minor areas that bring it down. I'm looking at you, Episode 2.
Fuck you too!
I'm so happy I finally played it though. About a decade after release, better late than never, right?
Boo! You stink!
But is it worth your time going back to playing a 10-plus-year-old game? Well, in this...
What's that, Axeman? You expected this feature to work? Sounds like you haven't heard of a little thing called modern gaming.
World where many games release broken or have many issues.
Modern gaming.
I would say yes. Yes, it is. With the remaster also being available, that'd probably be the best place to dive into the world of Alan Wake. I played the original version on PC and had a good time like that too. Also, having Wake's Verizon phone is just really funny. So, take it from me, a first-time player of Alan Wake is still worth your time and your money, especially with
modern gaming.
I'd say jump into this world and also beware of Kermit and Wilkins Coffee.
Those Wilkins coffee commercials.
You don't like them?
No.
Then let me fix your set.
You can't win.
And Dio's Construction Company. And the farts of the Dark Presence. Just remember this. Follow the light, and hopeful that answers just how good is Alan Wake.
Now hold on a second, you battle pillock. I was promised action, tea, and lodging. All I got were coffee, demonic farts and a lake. Time for Brian time. Viewers, please enjoy. Why are you running battle? Get back here, you.
Just go for it!